I'm not gonna lie, like when it comes to rap beef, going after a man's wife or significant other is like page 1 of the how to start a rap beef. And this is obviously nothing new, guys. Tupac literally said it in his opening bars in that Hit 'Em Up diss. Shout outs to the intro. Welcome to Rich Talks, podcast where we do music commentary, cultural commentary, deep dives, and just interesting topics in general. I'm your host, Ankh, aka Ree. Now let's get into it. Hey y'all, it's been a while. I had to make sure I drop something for y'all. So let's get straight into it, y'all. So obviously we got to discuss the latest controversy surrounding 50 Cent and T.I. and his sons, because I don't know, man. For some reason, I'm hearing a lot of people siding with T.I.'s sons, and personally, I kind of have a little bit of a different take on this one. But let's talk about it. Let's just talk about it. So let's start with the timeline of the whole situation, though, because actually, you know what? We can start even further back than that, because to me, in a way, I feel like 50 Cent versus T.I. has always, they've always kind of had like a not really serious, never really grew into anything major type of unfriendly rivalry with each other. You know what I mean? Simply, I guess, because they're both peers in the same industry and trying to be considered the greatest at it, right? Because T.I. himself constantly claims he's the king, right? He's the king of the South, whatever. Like, it's obvious that they've never really been friends. Like, I don't think they've even ever made a song together. And in an industry where you've been in it for that long, I mean, like, at some point you gotta kind of work with some of the other people that are like at your level or like at your tier. But in an unsung sort of way, I don't think 50 or T.I. ever thought that they ever really thought that about the other, like that they're on the same tier, like even though they're both major hit makers, it doesn't really seem like either one of them really considered the other one really as any type of threat to their musical standings. So yeah, T.I. and 50 never really had static or tension like that. Nah, I'm wrong. I'm totally wrong. T.I. had some tension with pretty much everyone back in the late 2000s, early 2010s, like when he got caught up in that gun case. Like, let me give you some backstory on that, because how does it go again? Oh yeah, so back in like 2005, I believe, T.I. was on the come up, making hit after hit, and eventually got to the point where he started his own label called Grand Hustle, and he had an artist that he had signed named Alpha Mega. Right, and after that signing, Alpha Mega was given like the title, I guess, the position of Grand Hustle Muscle, right? As he was like closely affiliated with T.I. and they were like super tight for years, right? Then in October of 2007, during a federal sting operation, T.I. was arrested in a parking lot in Atlanta, and a few hours before that, like, it was literally like a few hours before that year's BET Awards that were supposed to take place, right? And the reason for the arrest was that he was attempting to purchase 3 unregistered machine guns, 2 2 silencers through his bodyguard, who had gotten arrested earlier in the day, and he was pretty much cooperating with the police at the time, right? He was originally charged with possession of unregistered machine guns and silencers and possession of firearm by a convicted felon. They then gave him a $3 million bond and allowed him to be on house arrest until his trial date, right? But fast forward to March of 2008. And T.I. somehow avoids a potential 10-year prison sentence by reaching a plea deal with the prosecutors that it basically allowed him, more not allowed, like it required him to serve over 1,000 hours of community service, right? And which included like talking to the youth about the dangers of guns and gangs. You know, now normally that's something that should be commended, right? But due to the circumstances of like how he got there, it wasn't really something that T.I. did from the heart, or it didn't really look like it was something that he concocted from the heart. Like it was just so he didn't have to go to jail, right? So to me, he could have half-assed those 1,000 hours, but regardless, like whatever. I guess he helped some youth in the long run, even if the catalyst of that was birthed under not so optimal terms, you know. So a year after his plea deal was reached in March 2009, T.I. was officially sentenced to 1 year plus 1 day in prison, with the judge citing the proactive community service and anti-violence work as a reason for the lenient sentence, which I say again, I'm happy for the people that were helped by the community service, but I guess I just wish it wasn't something that felt so coerced, right? So anyway, the reason I brought up Alpha Mega, a few months after T.I. was sentenced and started serving his time, some documents surfaced online revealing that Alpha Mega was a confidential informant for the DEA in the 90s, right? And shortly after the news broke on May 8th, T.I., in an interview on Atlanta's 107.9 radio station, basically he publicly kicked Alpha Mega off of Grand Hustle. In the interview, he even stated, like, even though all our artists and employees are asked by us to be honest and open about their past history, at no time did Alpha disclose to me or Grand Hustle that what has now appeared in the media. He essentially deceived us by failing to fully disclose the truth about his past.
What?
And there is no place in our organization for dishonest and misleading behavior. What? As I have always said, you must take responsibility for your own actions. We at Grand Hustle cannot support or condone the blaming of others for our own mistakes. I hope and pray to God bless his savings plans, but I don't foresee me or my company playing a role in his personal or professional business. Wow. To me, his statement, okay, to be fair, it makes sense at first until you start to think about some of the things that T.I. stated in that statement. Like, for one, Grand Hustle is Alpha Mega's label, for sure, but they're not his lawyers. Like, why exactly would they need to know the circumstances of something that he had done in the past where the case was essentially closed or done or complete, right? Like, see, the way I see it, T.I. was trying to have this persona of label kingpin or like the street guy that you don't mess with, while simultaneously being the guy who did all of this community work and was all about community building. Like, pick a lane, sir. You know, like, are you righteous or are you reckless? You know, like, now part of the reason T.I. was being a hypocrite when he chose to drop Alpha Mega from the label over his perception that he was upholding some street principles. But then why was it that same energy not given to himself when he recorded a commercial for Crime Stoppers as part of the community service commitments in his plea deal? Right? Also, for someone that says there's no place on his label for dishonest and misleading behavior, but come to find out several months after Alpha Mega got dropped from the label, Alpha Mega's daughter was stabbed on Christmas Eve of that same year at one of T.I.'s clubs. I think it was called Club Crucial in Atlanta. Now, not saying that T.I. himself had anything to do with it, but just the way the public perception of Alpha Mega after getting dropped and being labeled as a snitch definitely had some people trying to go above and beyond for maybe the approval of T.I., right? Which leads me to my next point about T.I. Just having people crash out on his behalf and it not actually benefiting them from doing it. You know, case in point, his two sons crashing out on 50 Cent.
You're a victim.
When they should not even be involved. But, you know, we'll get to that. We will get to that. But a little bit after T.I.'s release from prison for the gun charges in like 2010, T.I. got arrested again. However, this time he was actually arrested with his wife, Tiny, in Los Angeles for possession of ecstasy during a routine traffic stop. And considering this was not long after he just finished serving time for his gun charges, he was still under some restrictive conditions, so him both getting arrested and also failing a drug test afterwards, essentially violating his probation conditions. So T.I. went right back to prison for another 11 months.
You're a victim.
Now, speaking of T.I. and his wife, before we even get to the real topic that I really wanted to talk about, like, we also need to mention the fact that these two have had some strange rumors tied to them for a long time that they were never really substantiated, or they didn't really go anywhere, right? But then again, when you think about like the Diddy files and Diddy having all of these odd rumors tied to him for years that really weren't substantiated until boom, now he's in prison. But I digress. You know, in January of 2021, a former friend of the couple publicly claimed that T.I. and Tiny had drugged and abused multiple women over the years. Like, actually, she is quoted as stating on a Instagram caption, she put, "You put a gun to my head in front of children and never called the police, and I never called the police on you." Wow. For years, you have painted me as the villain. Whoa. Like, she continued. Like, it goes on. What else did it say? It's hard to heal from rape, violence, or anything because you are painted as the problem or reason this has happened to you. Jeez, bro. Like, she also added to that, it's time to normalize allowing black women to heal. Like, yo, that's crazy. That's wild. You know, that one scathing allegation apparently like basically opened up the floodgates or something, because all of a sudden after that, several women were coming forward anonymously. You know, like now usually you gotta take some of these things with like a grain of salt, because anytime it's a high profile person being accused of some kind of misconduct,
you're a victim.
You know what, like anytime there's a high profile person being accused of misconduct, especially when it's a black person, there's always going to be bad actors mixed among the real victims, just trying to get a come up or a payday. You know, like they shoot their shot, and it's like going to the casino. Like you take a big swing, hoping that your bluff is not called. But it's not like this. It's like, you know, like it's not like it actually end up muddying the waters, because that's, you know, no, I'm sorry, I'm misquoting myself. This actually ends up muddying the waters for the real victims, because it brings down the credibility of all the accusers, right? Because once a false accuser is like brought to light, then it's like, oh, are all the accusers false accusers now? Or, you know what I mean? Like it's really messed up. But so from February to March of 2021, multiple anonymous victims were coming out of the woodwork, but like 30 accusers came out. 30. Like we're talking 30 accusers. And all of them were detailing all kinds of crazy things. For example, one woman claimed she now has neurological issues from the heavy Molly use while around them, and said that T.I. referred to the girls as cattle, and another one recalled waking up naked with a couple she didn't recognize, and she wrote that they passed me off to them at some point in the night. Like, yo, what? What? Like, yet another alleges that T.I. punched her in the face and threatened to get her deported because he knew she had no immigration papers. And apparently Tiny got jealous and attacked me, and when I defended myself, T.I. jumped in and helped her attack me, she alleges.
What?
Bruh. Like, yo. And additionally, the accusations started spanning over multiple states, like with accusations of sexual assault, drugging, coercion. They even had the LAPD confirming that they were investigating at least one assault allegation involving the couple. And like, due to rampant amount of allegations that were coming out, their reality show T.I. and Tiny Friends and Family Hustle was paused indefinitely. And you know what that means? It means that show ain't never coming out, unfortunately. They started losing brand deals, and like other businesses that worked with them, they started distancing themselves. What did I say? Distancing? It's distancing. Wow. No, it is distancing. I feel like I'm saying never mind. I'm losing myself. Of course, T.I. and Tiny denied all allegations, claiming them to be defamatory and false, right? Even with the LAPD reporting that they were investigating at least one sexual assault, the prosecutors in LA actually did decline to file any criminal charges against them, citing both insufficient evidence for one, as well as the statute of limitation issues for another. The couple, of course, fought back themselves, You have to, like, come on, these are crazy allegations. Like, they were launching their own defamation lawsuits against Tyrone Blackburn. He's the lawyer, or a lawyer, that was publicly representing several of the anonymous accusers. The couple claimed that Blackburn is spreading false claims in an attempt to extort them, and they did get a little bit of vindication a few years later in 2023, where the judge in that case dismissed 5 of the 7 claims that were made against T.I. and Tiny, and the judge also ordered the former friend of theirs to foot the bill for T.I. and Tiny's legal fees, which were listed to be about $97,000. Yeesh. Hopefully she had the money for that. Fast forward to January of 2024, and you have yet another accuser come out of the woodwork, anonymously suing T.I. and Tiny for sexual assault and abuse. And in her complaint, the woman stated that she met the couple in a nightclub when she was in her 20s and was serving in the US Air Force. And after Tiny offered her a drink that she alleges was spiked with drugs, she claims that she passed out and was taken to a hotel room. There she accuses Tiny of holding her down while T.I. penetrated her with his toes, among other claims.
What did he say?
You're a victim.
The Harrises acknowledge that the suit comes from a familiar accuser. This plaintiff has been threatening to file this lawsuit for 3 years. The couple says in a statement responding to the suit that for 3 years we have emphatically and categorically denied these allegations. For 3 years we have maintained our innocence and refused to pay these extortionate demands for things we didn't do. And of course, the whole ordeal is still currently ongoing. Now, I simply brought that up because I wanted to establish some of the controversy that's already tied to T.I. and his wife Tiny at this time, right? Because I feel like this will be important later, right? But now let's get back to 50 versus T.I. Okay, so remember, they never really had any static with each other like that, right? As I mentioned, well, that was until like sometime in like 2020, when the versus battles were at their peak popularity and artists were playfully calling out each other, like to match their catalogs against. And you know, it was interesting. It was funny because versus was kind of used as a way at the time to squash beefs between like artists. Like one of the biggest beefs that was squashed through versus was Young Jeezy versus Gucci Mane, because like that beef was more than rap. Like the story behind that is like basically a friend of Young Jeezy tried to end Gucci Mane, and Gucci Mane ended up ending him in self-defense, and he rapped about it, like, and even during the verses, like, it got a little testy because Gucci even said F the guy who died, I forget his name. Was it Pookie Loc or something? I don't remember the name, so I'm not even gonna mention. Anyways, let's get back to the topic. T.I. publicly suggested that he and 50 should do a versus battle against each other. 50 declined, and he joked that his catalog was stronger, that the matchup will never happen, and this is important, and to leave him alone. Now, this was like 6 years ago now, right? And since that time, T.I. even started and ended a comedy career. And I say ended because we don't even hear anything more about it. Like, matter of fact, he's back to making music instead, right? Like, he's actually using this beef with 50 to promote his new upcoming album. You know, so just this past February, T.I. made a guest appearance on the Nightcap podcast with Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco Johnson. And I'm guessing in a bid to like garner more attention for that return to music, T.I. openly called out 50 again for a versus battle, even going as far as to taunt him and say 50 doesn't want smoke. He's ducking. It's cool. Right? Now, y'all know 50 has moved so far away from music. He's on his mission to be bigger than just music, and then people get offended when they bring back the old rap bully in him, you know. So 50 responded to T.I.'s comments on the Nightcap podcast with an IG post. And his classic trolling fashion, he posted a 2010 video clip featuring T.I. participating in a Crime Stoppers commercial. And in the caption, 50 wrote, "I know Atlanta pick and choose who they support, but y'all gotta do better. LOL. Keep my name out your mouth." So note that once again, 50 asked to be left alone. And 50 continued to double down, suggesting that T.I. is a snitch by posting a clip of him testifying in 2008, 2 years after his friend and assistant, Philant Johnson, was fatally shot after a performance in Cincinnati. And in 2008, Hosea, I think his name was Hosea Thomas, was charged with manslaughter and sentenced to 66 years for the murder of Philant Johnson, which is good, you know. But in the caption of that post, when 50 doubled down, he wrote, No, I don't like it. No verses. Let's do the stay away challenge and stay away from me.
What did he say?
Yo, 50's kind of funny, man. He's funny on Instagram. I'm not gonna lie. He makes some funny posts. Again, he kept saying, "Leave him alone." So like, this is the third time, right? And at this point, most of us know that 50 nowadays is more known for that trolling over social media and antagonizing jokes. So it was really just par for the course when you mention 50 and he hits back with troll memes and insults. Now, having a back and forth with T.I. over whatever issues you have is one thing, but I must say, like, everyone collectively agreed that 50 took things a little too far when he posted that unflattering picture of T.I.'s wife, Tiny, on his Instagram with that caption, "I keep saying, keep my name out your mouth, okay?" And then 50 took it a little further by posting another picture of Tiny with her and T.I.'s son, King Harris, and he posted the wildest caption. Like, oh man, yo, he said, "God don't like ugly." This guy is just mean, man. This is a bully. I'm not gonna lie, you know, like when it comes to rap beef, going after a man's wife or significant other is like page 1 of the How to Start a Rap Beef. And this is obviously nothing new, guys. Tupac literally said it in his opening bars in that Hit 'Em Up diss. "First off, fuck your bitch and the clique you claim," right? like damn, Pac, like who hurt you? Like, who really hurt you? Or what about that line that kicked off it was basically the opening salvo to Drake's Fall from Grace, technically. Like when he mentioned Pusha T's then fiance, now wife, on his Duppy freestyle, when he said I told you keep playing with my name, I'ma let it ring on you like Virginia Williams.
You're a victim.
Or what about on Super Ugly when Jay-Z was bragging about him and Allen Iverson having something in common when it comes to the mother of Nas's first child, Carmen Bryan, when he said the lines, me and the boy AI got more in common than just balling and rhyming. Get it? More in Carmen? Jeez, like, you know what? Guys, like, I could go on, but I think you guys kind of get the idea, like where I'm going here. Now, I say all that to say, I'm not condoning the strategy of always using a man's wife or significant other as a prop to hurt or target them. Like, this seems especially prevalent when it comes to black women getting thrown under the bus. You know, because look at it like this. If I have a beef with you, another grown man, why then would I target your wife in order to hurt you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause we as men know you can't bring up our mothers and you can't bring up our wives, cause that's the fast track to watching a man crash out on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, another thing I hate about this type of behavior is it's so often reactionary and tit for tat. And in the fact that, oh, you're attacking my mom or wife or whoever, that I'm going to attack your mom or wife or whoever. Like, meanwhile, all these women that have nothing to do with nothing are catching strays from the hurt egos of these dudes. But that's being masculine, right? Like, that's what a tough guy does, right? Like, goes after the women in a man's life instead of actually going after the man, right? It's the same as like when people attack the person instead of attacking the argument when they're in a argument with somebody, right? It's crazy. Like, for example, like with King Harris, on the one hand, I totally understand, like, you feeling the need to have to defend your mother, right? Like, we've all been there at some point. I'm not gonna be a hypocrite and say that I haven't done the same thing. Like, especially if you grew up in the era of the yo mama jokes. Like, man, that was a weird time. Like I even remember comedians would have them in their comedy specials. Like Russell Peters was a great example. Man, I remember this one joke he would tell with a Chinese accent. He went, "Your mother so fat that when she jumped for joy, she got stuck." Bro.
What did he say?
Look, but like when you hear jokes like that, you laugh because it's funny. But like, imagine being the little kid with the underdeveloped emotional intelligence at the time. Like, to you, them's fighting words, right? Like, at least that's the mentality when we're younger. But then when we have to face the consequences, like explaining to our mother why you beat up another kid just because they supposedly insulted her honor, then even when she doesn't even know that kid from a hole in the dirt, like, and probably wouldn't even care. So we ask ourselves, what is this obsession that we seem to have as men that warrants the most important women in our lives to be catching verbal strays just to, I guess, emotionally harm or discomfort the man? Like, some people would say King's response to 50 Cent's internet trolling was warranted because obviously going after a man's wife or his mother just takes things to a less than friendly level, right? Like, certain lines that are just unwritten as men to not cross, but once they're crossed, then things can go too far. You know, like 50 isn't innocent either in this, because this is one of his go-to tactics when it comes to lobbing insults at his perceived enemies or targets of his ire. Like, he's done this to many other people in the most like many other people, and the most famous example being when he was having his rap beef with Rick Ross, and he decided to transition. Like, he started transitioning from simply dropping diss songs to making videos as what was that character, Pimping Curly, and kind of like trolling Ross, right? Like, that was until he brought in Rick Ross's child's mother into the drama by releasing her sex tape. Now, this was one of the only instances where someone actually caught a stray and it whipped right back at the sender. Because, you know, 50, because of those egregious actions that he pulled, like thinking he was being funny, he ended up getting sued by her and losing in court. And although he never actually ended up having to pay her, because with using some savvy business moves, he ended up like filing for bankruptcy shortly after that, and within a few years was already like back to being successful and wealthy. But the hit to his reputation never truly recovered after that, because before 50 was kind of considered like the untouchable bully when it came to like success in rap beef, right? Like, yo, you're gonna try to go after 50, he's gonna bully you until you he's like, he's gonna do the Mike Tyson, I'm a fuck you till you love me.
What did he say?
Oh no. But back to King Harris versus 50. King fired back at 50 by doing the unthinkable. He brought up 50's late mother. Like, what did he say? He said, bitch ass nigga, wanna say something about my mama? Your mama dead as fuck, nigga. And go dig her up. Post a picture of your motherfucking mama, nigga. She dead, nigga. Jeez. Like, honestly, I don't think I'll ever understand how we got to this level. Like, we got a new generation of youth that I personally think lack the true understanding of the permanence of death and how it actually affects the people around them. Like, in the same manner that some of these youths go all over social media taunting each other and disrespecting their deceased friends, claiming they put their ops in a blind or some other egregious thing like that, like, which I kind of feel like this was partially popularized by that urban legend that after Tupac's funeral, the Outlaws added some of his ashes to their blunt and smoked it as some form of remembrance. Or maybe it's tied to the fact that people in the hood for generations have been adding all kinds of weird stuff to their sessions to kind of elevate their high. Like, have you ever heard the term smoking sherm? Like, y'all, do y'all know what sherm is? Sherm is when they lace the marijuana blunt with formaldehyde, aka embalming fluid.
What did he say?
Yeah, embalming fluid. The stuff you put in a corpse to preserve it. Like, yo, honestly, the things people have done through history in order to like feel something different it's kind of eye-opening, man. Like, it's people are crazy, man. But now back to the bullshit, right? So after King went and dropped his IG response, 50 basically responded with this was rude. He responded with a Pepe the Frog meme with the caption saying LOL. And in that response, 50, he was basically doing two things, right? He was replying to King's comments by comparing his appearance to that of Pepe the suicidal frog meme, and at the same time making the impact of King's attacks, like basically taking the impact out of King's attack, I should say, by basically implying that he's unbothered by King firing stray shots at 50's deceased mother. Right, so King's next response was him firing strays at 50's youngest child, Sire, who is only 13 years old. Like, King shared a photo of Sire sitting on 50's lap, calling the 13-year-old a hoe.
What did he say?
Like, bruh, if you don't, where's T.I.? Like, come get your son, man. Somebody come get this nigga. This is crazy. Like, speaking of T.I. though, this must be where King learned all that petty behavior from, because he decided to also take a subtle dig at 50 by posting a wholesome video with him and his family, and the caption stated, "My biggest flex is being able to protect my mama until I could provide her a better life. Happy birthday, mama." Not to mention, he also replied in the comments when 50 dropped that Pepe the Frog meme, and he said, "Fuck nigga, you can't post a fat hoe in a snowstorm on a sorry. Yo, it was funny still. Like, fuck nigga, you can post a fat hoe in a snowstorm on a unicycle juggling dildos. You still a hoe." I mean, yo, it was funny, man. It was funny. That was a good one. That same day, T.I. recorded and released a track called War, which didn't mention 50 by name, but specified that it was a warning. Then a few days later, he dropped The Right One, this time going directly at 50, calling out his bullying tactics on social media, his relationship with women, and not being willing to stand on his catalog. And then to close things out, he dropped one more diss track. This time he had a caption on the snippet saying, "Message to the dildo dealer, I don't make memes, I make music. I don't give a fuck. What you erase, you keep posting equals its problems. Hashtag what bully." 50 did not respond with music. Instead, he posted T.I. with a photo of a fake diploma on Instagram. He called it the Stupid Ass Nigga Award, and in the caption he said, "This award goes to the old rappers still trying to battle rap. Chat GPT told me that. I don't need to rap. You need me to rap. LOL, get the fuck off my page." I don't know, this back and forth is a little bit funny still. Like, just reading the captions is kind of more entertaining than listening to the actual diss track. So I'm sorry, T.I. So then we get to T.I. continuing to antagonize and tell 50 to respond. Meanwhile, 50 ended up removing all his posts that attacked T.I. and his family, which seemed like he was done with the jokes, by posting a picture of himself getting on a private jet with the caption, "I'm out of here. You guys hurt my feelings." Right? And I will say this though. I do have a bit of an issue with T.I.'s sons jumping into the mix with their own diss songs, and I'll explain why. Like, not only did King release a diss track of his own at 50, but T.I.'s older son, Domani, who is not Tiny's son, by the way, I don't know if that really even matters, but also released his own diss track taking shots at 50. Which is fine, but my actual issue though is the fact that T.I.'s sons, whoa, what's going on there? My actual issue though is the fact that T.I.'s sons, why are they even involved to begin with, man? Like, on the one hand, I understand somebody making jokes about your mom. There's no way you aren't gonna try to defend that. But can we look at it from another angle as well? Right? Aren't King and Domani kind of being disrespectful to T.I. by jumping into this beef between him and his peer? Cause like, yes, that's your mom, you're defending, but you're also undermining and in a sense disrespecting your father by not allowing him to do what he's supposed to do by defending his own wife, right? And I like for example, like I wouldn't, I'm not gonna be going after like an 80-year-old man and try to beat him up because like he got into an argument with my dad and like was said disparaging things about my mom. It's like, no, my dad can defend that. Like he can defend his wife. I'm not gonna like oh, what are you saying about my mom? Like I'm gonna run up on an 80-year-old man and give him a heart attack. Like, what are you doing here? What are we doing, man? Like for real. And like and I doubt any good father would want their sons, adult or not, to be jumping into to fight his battles for him. Like, to me, it's low-key disrespectful. Like, damn. I don't think my dad's good enough or strong enough to defend my mom, so let me undermine him by jumping in for him instead. You know what I mean? Like that's what it gives off to me. Cause you can't control how the consequences of the things you choose to do will come back around on you or the people around you. And as a father, no matter what age your kids are, you're supposed to try to keep them protected as best you can. Now, is T.I. actually being a protective father by allowing his sons to put their currently budding music careers on the line by swinging at someone like 50 Cent? Like, I don't think T.I. is doing his sons any favors by doing that. Like, no, he is not. Like, instead, he would choose to continue to antagonize 50, even after 50 metaphorically waved the white flag by removing all the photos of his wife and son from his IG. He continued to go at 50 on IG saying things like, oh, nobody fears you over here, boo-boo, and whatever you do, please keep showing the world you a hoe. And like, you just keep pushing the button, man. Like, just keep pushing the button, right? So being such a student of the 48 Laws of Power as 50 Cent is, all the antagonizing finally got him to respond with music. But I think the medium he chose will probably have a much larger impact in the long run. Right? Because 50 decided to use the Power Origins new theme song featuring Leon Thomas to take some wild snipes at T.I. and Tiny. Showcasing the song on his IG page, he wrote the caption, LOL, they're gonna learn to leave me alone. And man, I think they really did leave him alone after this, because there haven't really been any new diss tracks released since then. And in the track, 50 doesn't even say too much, but he said enough, right? The bars go, I'm back on my dope boy grandma, your daddy and your mom. Sorry. I'm back on my dope boy grandma. Your daddy made your mama eat every box in Atlanta. Freak shit, peep shit, keep shit on the low. Yo, what? This man said, yo, daddy made your mama eat every box in Atlanta. This guy is still catching strays. What did Tiny do, man? Yo, like, what did Tiny do? That's crazy. That is crazy, man. See, another issue I have with T.I. about all of this. Like, brother, didn't you switch to a comedy career? Like, you literally could have played some 4D chess and turned this whole thing with 50 into a comedy special. The jokes would have landed better. And I think it would have definitely been more impactful. But I guess T.I. himself isn't confident in his own ability to be funny. Like, from what I've seen just through social media, 50 might even outdo him in comedy too if he ever chose to do stand-up. But yeah, I've talked y'all enough today, y'all, because I just wanted to like say that much about the T.I. and Tiny thing, the T.I. versus 50 stuff, because like I just feel like it's a little bit disrespectful for your sons to be jumping in while you're already handling it. It's like, what is this? Like, why we jump? I don't need help, little nigga. Like, back up. You know what I'm saying? But don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you enjoyed the episode, salute to the outro. Peace.